October 14, 1943, 30,000 feet above northern Germany. Staff Sergeant Daniel Danny Mercer presses his gloved hand against the cold aluminum skin of his B-17 Flying Fortress. Lucky Bell. Frost creeps along the inside of the fuselage like pale veins. The oxygen mask itches against his face. He is 24, from Wichita, Kansas. Now a ball turret gunner in the 305th Bomb Group. Beneath him, through a sheet of thin plexiglass, the Reich spreads out in gray squares and black rivers. The intercom crackles. IP in 5 minutes, the pilot says. Initial point. After that, it's straight and level over Bremen. Danny rotates the turret slowly. Twin .50 caliber. Brownings sweep across the sky. The formation stretches for miles, hundreds of B-17s in tight combat boxes, silver wings flashing in pale autumn light. Vapor trails stitch the sky into white scars. The air inside the turret smells of gun oil and fear. Flak begins as distant black blossoms. Then the blossoms multiply. The fortress shudders. Steel fragments slam into the fuselage like thrown gravel. Danny hears a scream over intercom. Tail gunner hit, but still talking. He keeps scanning. Below, factories wait. Messerschmitt plants, submarine yards. The heart of German production. Bandits, 12 hide. Someone shouts. They come in fast. Messerschmitt Bf-109 slicing through the formation. Noses flashing cannon fire. One fortress ahead takes a direct hit. Its right wing tears open, fuel vapor igniting into a rolling orange bloom. For a split second the crew is visible against the fire, then nothing. Danny's finger tightens on the trigger. The turret vibrates violently as he fires upward at a diving fighter. Tracers arc bright and useless through thin air. He feels terribly small inside his steel bubble. Then it happens. A violent jolt. Not flak. Not cannon. Metal screams. The sky lurches sideways. Danny's turret swings wildly as Lucky Bell slams into another B-17 in the formation. A grinding, tearing collision of aluminum and bone. The plexiglass spider webs but doesn't shatter. His stomach rises into his throat. Jesus, we've hit, the co-pilot yells before static swallows him. Danny twists in the turret, heart hammering. Through fractured glass he sees it another fortress. So close he can read the faded nose art. The two bombers are locked together. Wingtip buried deep into fuselage, metal fused midair. Both aircraft are still flying. Smoke pours from both, and beneath them, Germany waits. The impact throws Danny hard against the turret harness. His teeth slam together. The fortress shudders like a wounded animal. Report, report. Pilot Captain Ellis Carter's voice cuts through the intercom, tight but controlled. Danny forces himself to breathe. He peers upward through fractured plexiglass. The other B-17 is not falling away. It is fused to them, its left wing driven deep into Lucky Bell's bomb bay area. Aluminum skin curls outward like torn paper. Fuel streams backward in a thin mist. We're locked, the co-pilot says, disbelief in his voice. We're actually locked together. The other bomber's designation becomes visible through smoke. Marianne. Danny sees her tail number. Sees a gunner in the waist window staring back across the gap of only a few feet. The man's helmet is gone. Blood streaks down his cheek. He doesn't move. Flak continues to burst around them, indifferent. Bomb bays jammed. The bombardier shouts. Hydraulics are shot. They are approaching the target run. Standard procedure demands straight and level flight. But straight and level now means dragging another 12-ton aircraft with them. Carter makes the decision no one trains for. Drop the bombs manually. Now. The bombardier cranks the emergency release. The fortress trembles as 10 500-pound bombs tumble free, vanishing into cloud and smoke below. For a brief second, the aircraft lifts lighter, but still burdened by the dead weight of Marianne. German fighters circle like wolves. A Bf-109 dives toward the crippled pair, cannon flashing. Danny swings the turret upward and fires. Tracers meet the fighter head-on. The German plane snaps away at the last second, rolling off to safer prey. Inside the intercom, voices overlap. Number 2 engines out, fuel pressure dropping, hydraulics gone. Then a new voice, faint, bleeding through static. Not from their crew. Anybody. This is Marianne. Pilot's dead. Controls not responding. Danny freezes. The other aircraft is leaderless. Through smoke he glimpses into Marianne's cockpit. The pilot slumps forward over the yoke, unmoving. Co-pilot gone. Blood darkens the glass. Their two bombers, tangled together, are flying on Lucky Bell's controls alone. 30,000 feet above Germany. Carter's voice drops low, steady. We're taking her west. We stay together. No one says what they're thinking. If the embedded wing shifts, if the balance changes, both aircraft will spiral down in fire. Danny adjusts the turret again. The sky is suddenly very empty around them. The formation has moved on. They are alone now. Two bombers fused into one broken creature, limping across hostile sky, bleeding fuel over enemy territory. And Germany is not finished with them yet. The fortress trembles with every correction on the yoke. Captain Carter fights the controls with both hands, boots braced against the rudder pedals. The added drag from Mary Ann's wing pulls them constantly left. The control column feels heavy, wrong, like steering a ship through mud. We're losing altitude, the co-pilot says quietly. 28,000 feet. Below them, the German countryside drifts past in gray silence, fields divided by hedgerows, rivers cutting through autumn earth, too far to see faces, close enough to die. Inside the ball turret, Danny feels the temperature drop. Frost creeps along the cracked plexiglass. His breath fogs the glass. His world is only steel framing, twin Brownings, and the distant ground. A sudden metallic groan ripples through the aircraft. Structural stress. The flight engineer shouts, "That wing's shifting." Danny looks up just in time to see it, the embedded wing of Mary Ann flexing violently. The aluminum skin tears wider. For a moment he thinks the two bombers will rip apart completely. Instead, they settle again, still fused. A voice crackles faintly over the interplane frequency. "Anyone alive on Bell?" It's coming from Mary Ann's radio operator. "I'm here," Carter answers. "Your pilot's gone. We're flying you." Silence. Then, "Understood." The simplicity of it chills Danny more than the cold. Another shadow slices past, fast, deliberate. Bandits 6 o'clock. A pair of Focke-Wulf 190s line up behind the crippled formation of two. They fire from long range. Cannon shells punching into the tail of Mary Ann. Pieces of aluminum shear away and spiral downward. Danny cannot see them from his position. He feels exposed, blind below and behind. Top turret engaging. Someone shouts. The fortress vibrates as .50 calibers thunder from above. One German fighter breaks off. The second presses closer. Danny strains in his harness, twisting the turret as far as it will go. Through the corner of his fractured plexiglass he catches a glimpse, dark green wings, black cross. He fires. The turret shakes violently. Tracers climb and intersect the fighter's nose. The FW-190 flashes past so close Danny sees the pilot's goggles. The German breaks away, engine trailing faint smoke. For a brief second, the sky clears again. Altitude, 24,000 feet. They are descending steadily now. Fuel pressure drops further. One engine coughs, then steadies. Carter's voice comes calm but edged with something new. "We won't make England at this rate." No one answers, because they all know what lies between here and the Channel. Miles of flak batteries. Miles of fighters. Miles of occupied Europe. Danny presses his forehead against the cold plexiglass and stares at the distant horizon. Somewhere beyond it is home. But the two bombers remain locked together, bleeding, groaning, and falling. And the ground is rising faster than anyone wants to admit. 22,000 feet. The altimeter needle continues its slow, merciless drop. Captain Carter wipes sweat from his eyes with the back of his glove. The cockpit smells of hot oil and burned insulation. The control column pulls left constantly. His forearms ache from holding it steady. "Feather number 2, he orders. The flight engineer reaches up and pulls the lever. The damaged propeller slows, then stops. Blades slicing uselessly through thin air. The vibration eases slightly, but their speed drops with it. Below, the clouds thin. The German countryside becomes clearer. Now, villages, roads, a river reflecting pale light. Too detailed, too close. Inside the ball turret, Danny feels every change in balance. When the prop stops, the aircraft lists unevenly. For a moment he thinks this is it, the moment the stress will tear them apart. But the embedded wing of Mary Ann holds. He looks across again at the other bomber. The waist gunner he saw earlier is gone from the window. In his place, a different figure appears, radio operator, maybe. The man raises a hand weakly in acknowledgement. 2 crews, 20 men, 1 set of controls. The interplane radio crackles. "We've got wounded back here," the voice from Mary Ann says. "2 dead. Tails gone. We can't control anything." Carter answers without hesitation. "Stay put. We'll carry you as far as we can." The words hang in the air. Carry you. As if this is a wounded man on a stretcher, not a 12-ton bomber impaled midair. Suddenly, Flak erupts again, closer, more accurate. Black bursts surround them, timed and measured. German gunners have found the slow, crippled target. A shell explodes just off their right wing. The blast rocks both aircraft violently. Danny's turret spins hard to the side. His shoulder slams into the steel frame. Warning lights flicker. Hydraulic pressure gone. The engineer shouts. Carter wrestles the yoke as the nose dips sharply. They drop to 1,000 feet in seconds. Loose equipment slides across the cockpit floor. Somewhere in the fuselage, a man cries out. Danny sees smoke pouring from Mary Ann's inboard engine now. Flames lick briefly, then vanish into wind. Fire on the other ship. Someone yells. From inside the turret, Danny cannot reach it, cannot help. He is sealed in his sphere beneath both aircraft, watching them burn from below. The fire grows brighter. If it spreads to fuel, both bombers will become one falling torch over Germany. Danny grips the triggers but does not fire. There is nothing to shoot. Above him, two planes remain locked together. Below him, Germany waits, and between them, flames begin to take hold. The fire on Mary Ann's inboard engine grows brighter, fed by the slipstream. Orange tongues lash backward along the wing route, dangerously close to the fuel tank. Smoke pours over Lucky Bell's fuselage, stinging eyes and filling the cockpit with a bitter, oily smell. We can't outrun it, the co-pilot mutters. Captain Carter doesn't respond. He keeps the nose slightly down, trading altitude for airspeed. Faster airflow might starve the flames. It's a gamble. Inside the ball turret, Danny watches the fire through a curtain of smoke. He feels useless trapped in his steel globe. Boots hooked into stirrups, knees locked to his chest. The turret motor whines faintly as he adjusts his angle, scanning for fighters that might return to finish them. Instead, he sees something else. The radio operator in Mary Ann is crawling along the fuselage toward the burning engine. He clips a safety line to the frame and pushes himself halfway out of the waist window. The wind nearly tears him free. What the hell is he doing? Someone on Bell whispers through the fractured plexiglass. Danny sees the man hold a portable fire extinguisher. He empties it into the flames. White vapor vanishes instantly in the slipstream. The fire dims then flares again. The man disappears back inside. Seconds stretch. Then, slowly, impossibly, the flames shrink. Smoke remains, thick and black, but the bright orange glow fades. He got it, the engineer says, disbelief in his voice. Altitude, 18,000 feet. They are still descending. Fuel gauges creep lower. One more engine sputters. Carter makes another decision. We head for the coast. No, England. We won't make it. The channel is too far. Even if they reach it, ditching to locked bombers in cold October water would kill most of them. Danny feels the shift in direction as the aircraft banks carefully. West-northwest. Beneath them now, the land begins to change. Flatter terrain, more open fields, fewer factories, more farmland. We're not going to clear the North Sea, the co-pilot says quietly. No one says the word surrender. Not yet. From Mary Ann's frequency, a strained voice breaks in. If we have to put down, we go together. Carter exhales slowly. We're together already. Danny swallows. He thinks of Wichita, of open skies over Kansas, of his mother's kitchen table, of how simple the world once felt. The ground is no longer distant. 15,000 feet. Wind roars louder through torn metal. The two bombers creak as if arguing with gravity itself. Ahead, through breaks in cloud, Danny sees a wide stretch of countryside and something else. A Luftwaffe airfield. Runways cut clean into green earth, and small figures running toward the edge of the field, pointing upward. They are watching, and the two broken American bombers are coming straight toward them. The Luftwaffe airfield grows larger with every passing second. Danny can now see individual aircraft on dispersal pads. Messerschmitt 109s, parked wingtip to wingtip. Fuel trucks scatter. Men run across the grass, pointing, shouting. They are not cheering. They are staring. Captain Carter studies the field through the cracked windshield. A long, flat runway. Clear approaches, no heavy flak around it. Just stunned ground crews watching too. American bombers fused together descend like some impossible machine. We put her down there, Carter says. The co-pilot looks at him. On a German field. You got a better idea. Silence. Inside the ball turret, Danny's world tilts as the aircraft banks. The embedded wing of Mary Ann groans again. Metal rubs against metal with a grinding shriek that vibrates through his bones. Altitude, 12,000 feet. The interplane frequency crackles. The radio operator from Mary Ann sounds steadier now. If we break apart on landing, we won't. Carter cuts in. We keep her level. We land as one. The statement is bold, maybe impossible, but it gives the crews something to hold on to. Wind tears through holes in the fuselage. Papers and insulation whip past Danny's turret like birds escaping a burning barn. He tightens his harness straps. Below, German personnel begin pulling vehicles off the runway. A fire truck races into position. Soldiers line the perimeter, rifles slung but forgotten in their hands. No one fires at them. At 9,000 feet, the left side dips dangerously. The weight of Mary Ann shifts again. Carter fights it with rudder and trim, muscles straining. Flaps are gone, the engineer reports. No hydraulics, so they will land fast, too fast. Danny sees the runway numbers now. White paint against green grass. The ground rushes up in terrifying detail, individual fence posts, tire tracks, faces. For a brief second, the sky clears of smoke. The two bombers cast one distorted shadow over the field below. 7,000 feet. Carter lowers the landing gear manually. The hand crank turns, slow and stubborn. A green light flickers then holds. Gears down. The co-pilot breathes. From Marianne, a final transmission. We're with you. Danny presses his forehead against the cold glass of the turret. He cannot see the cockpit. He cannot see the runway ahead. He can only see the earth racing toward him. 5,000 feet. If the wing tears free on impact, both aircraft will cartwheel in fire across German soil. And the men below, German mechanics, guards, even women auxiliaries in gray uniforms, are standing frozen, waiting to see whether this impossible creature will explode or land. The runway fills Danny's vision. A strip of hard earth cutting through green fields. The wind roars louder now, thicker, heavier. The fortress vibrates so violently his teeth chatter inside the oxygen mask. Captain Carter eases the nose down. No flaps, no hydraulics. Too much drag from the embedded wing. They are coming in hot. Hold her steady, the co-pilot whispers, as if speaking too loudly might break the fragile balance. 3,000 feet. Inside Marianne, men brace themselves against bulkheads. Some are wounded. One clutches a bandaged arm. Another grips a rosary in a shaking hand. They have no control, only trust in strangers flying the other ship. Danny locks his turret forward as much as it will go. Standard procedure says retract the ball before landing. There is no time. If the landing collapses the fuselage, he will be crushed first. 2,000 feet. The runway numbers rush beneath them. Carter keeps the wings level with minute, desperate corrections. The embedded wing trembles but holds. 1,000. The ground surges upward. Impact. The wheels strike hard, exploding into smoke and dust. The left side slams down heavier from the extra weight. Metal screams. For a split second, Danny is certain the wing will shear away. It doesn't. Both aircraft skid together down the runway in a shower of sparks. The tail of Marianne drags, grinding against earth. One engine tears free entirely, cartwheeling into grass. The combined mass veers sideways. Carter stomps the rudder, fighting the swerve. The aircraft shudders violently, then slows slower, and finally stops. Silence. Only ticking metal. Only the hiss of steam and cooling engines. Danny hangs upside down, for a moment before realizing the aircraft has settled at a strange angle. He is alive. He blinks through cracked plexiglass at a sky no longer filled with flak. Outside, German soldiers approach cautiously, rifles raised but not firing. Among them are women in Luftwaffe auxiliary uniforms, gray skirts, caps tilted back, faces pale with disbelief. One of them lowers her hands from her mouth and steps closer. Two American bombers, locked together, have landed intact in the heart of Germany. Inside the cockpit, Carter removes his helmet slowly. He looks at the co-pilot. Well, he says quietly, we made it down. Danny hears boots on the fuselage above him. German voices, orders shouted, the click of rifle bolts. The war, for them, has just changed. And as the hatch above begins to open, Danny realizes something else. They did not fall from the sky. They arrived. The hatch above Danny's turret jerks open with a metallic snap. Cold German air rushes in. Raus, raus, a voice shouts. Danny twists the manual crank and lowers the ball turret enough to unlock himself. His legs are numb when he drops onto the torn runway. For a second, he nearly collapses. A German soldier steadies him by the elbow, more reflex than kindness, then steps back, rifle trained on his chest. Around him, the rest of the crew climb out slowly, hands raised, from the fused wreck of Marianne. Surviving airmen emerge through twisted metal, helping the wounded down. 20 men reduced to a silent line of prisoners. The two bombers remain grotesquely married together on the runway. Wings locked, fuselages torn open like exposed ribs. German ground crews circle the aircraft cautiously, staring upward at the impossible geometry of aluminum and rivets. Mechanics point at the embedded wing, arguing in low voices. One shakes his head over and over. Among the gathering crowd are women in Luftwaffe auxiliary uniforms, Nachrichtenfelfen, signal aides from the airfield. They are young, some barely older than Danny. Their gray skirts move in the wind from cooling engines. One steps closer than the soldiers allow, her eyes wide. She whispers something in German. Another woman answers softly, almost disbelieving. Asai sind zusammengelandet. They landed together. Danny doesn't understand the words, but he understands the tone. Shock. not triumph. A wounded crewman from Marion stumbles. The same auxiliary who had stepped forward instinctively moves to help him, before a sergeant pulls her back sharply. Protocol returns like a curtain dropping. Captain Carter walks last from Lucky Bell. He pauses at the base of the ladder and looks back at the fused aircraft. His jaw tightens not in regret, but in quiet disbelief that they are alive. A German officer approaches. Luftwaffe blue-gray uniform, iron cross at his throat. He studies Carter carefully. "You flew both?" the officer asks in measured English. Carter nods once. "We did." The officer looks at the wreck again, then back at Carter. Something unreadable passes across his face. Respect, perhaps, or confusion. In the distance, sirens wail. More personnel arrive. Cameras appear, propaganda men eager to document the captured American machines. Danny stands in line with his hands raised, staring at the two bombers locked together in stillness. Smoke drifts lazily into the autumn sky. They had crossed Germany in fire. They had landed intact. And now, surrounded by enemy uniforms and stunned faces, including the silent, wide-eyed women watching from the edge of the field, Danny feels the full weight of what comes next. Prisoner of war, and far from home. The trucks arrive before the engines finish ticking cool. Danny and the others are marched across the airfield in a tight column, boots scraping against gravel. German soldiers flank them, rifles steady but not cruel. Behind them, mechanics and propaganda. Photographers swarm the fused bombers like ants over a fallen giant. Danny glances back once. The two B-17s remain locked together, aluminum skin torn and blackened, yet still upright. Even in defeat, they look defiant. He climbs into the back of a canvas-covered truck beside the radio operator from Marianne, the man who fought the engine fire. The man's face is gray with exhaustion, one sleeve soaked dark with blood. "You're the one flew us down?" the radio operator asked quietly. Danny shakes his head. "Pilot did. I just shot at things." The man manages the faintest smile. "Still counts." The truck lurches forward. They pass rows of German personnel still staring toward the runway. Among them, Danny sees the same young Luftwaffe auxiliary who stepped forward earlier. She stands motionless, hands clasped tightly in front of her, eyes fixed on the departing Americans. For a brief moment, their eyes meet. There is no hatred in her expression, only disbelief. The convoy leaves the airfield and rolls through open countryside. Autumn fields stretch under a pale sky. Farmhouses in the distance. Cows grazing as if the war exists somewhere else. Captain Carter sits opposite Danny, helmet resting in his lap. His face is drawn but calm. "We kept her together," Carter says quietly, almost to himself. Danny nods. He can still feel the vibration of the turret, the grinding of metal against metal, the weight of another aircraft dragging them down. He can still see the flames shrinking in the wind. They had been certain they would die over Germany. Instead, they had landed in its heart. Hours later, the trucks pull into a fence compound near the airfield, temporary, holding before transport to a permanent camp. Barbed wire coils glint in fading light. As they are led through the gate, a German officer pauses near Carter. "I have flown many years," the officer says in careful English. "I have never seen such a thing." Carter studies him. "Neither have I." The gate closes behind them with a heavy metallic clang. Danny turns once more toward the distant horizon. Somewhere beyond it lies the Channel. Beyond that, England. Beyond that, home. But tonight, they sleep behind wire. Two bombers locked together on a German runway. 20 airmen alive when they should not be. And across that airfield, long after dusk settles, stunned ground crews and a handful of silent auxiliary. Women continue to stare at the impossible shape of American aluminum fused in midair and brought down intact. The sky over Germany is quiet now, but the story of the collision that should not have flown has only just begun.